The narrator begins by drawing the viewer into a question that doesn't yet have an answer, a question that lingers in the background of everything that follows. There are no accusations, no declarations, only the weight of uncertainty and the echoes of claims made by online voices. The narrator explains that in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death, some people began wondering whether the public was looking in the wrong direction from the very beginning. Not because of official reports, but because of patterns, inconsistencies, and details that never seemed to be fully addressed. The viewer is told that among these conversations, a particular name kept surfacing, not as a confirmed mastermind or conspirator, but as someone positioned close to Charlie, someone who was present during critical moments, and someone whose movements, afterwards, became a subject of intense speculation. The narrator sets the hook deeper by stating that certain online researchers believe a different individual may have been watched or monitored for years, based on travel overlaps and alleged aircraft tracking data. 2 aircraft allegedly appearing in the same areas as this individual dozens of times. Not confirmed by any authority, but recorded, logged, and discussed endlessly in dark corners of the internet. The narrator carefully adds that none of this is proven, and that speculation fills the void when official clarity is missing. As the music builds, the narrator leaves the viewer with 3 questions. Why do some timelines not align? Why do key witnesses recall events differently? And why does silence sometimes create more suspicion than any statement ever could? The narrator shifts focus to a figure constantly seen beside Charlie Kirk long before the tragedy. Micky McCoy is described as a young, energetic presence, someone who appeared repeatedly in public videos and behind-the-scenes footage. Viewers are told that he held the title of Chief of Staff and was often seen walking just a few steps behind Charlie, sometimes even directing people around him. The narrator explains that after Charlie's death, certain clips began circulating rapidly online. In these clips, Micky is seen holding a phone to his ear shortly after the alleged incident. In a moment where most people might freeze, panic, or drop to the ground, he appears composed, walking with purpose. Some people claim he was making an urgent call. Others insist he was covering his ears due to the noise. The narrator never declares which explanation is true, instead emphasizing that the conflicting interpretations themselves are what created the wave of suspicion. The lack of official explanation about that moment allowed viewers to replay it again and again, dissecting body language frame by frame, asking why no one ever clarified what that call was, who it was to, or at what exact time it occurred. The narrator underlines that there is no public evidence suggesting wrongdoing, only the reality that in moments of trauma, human behavior can look strange, confusing, and contradictory. Yet, in the world of the internet, confusion rarely remains neutral. It becomes fuel. The narrator now explores one of the most contested elements in this unfolding mystery, the timeline. According to one statement, Erika, Charlie's wife, said she received a phone call from Micky mere seconds after the attack. But in an official statement released by TPUSA, it was claimed that Micky called only after he had reconvened with Erika at the site. The narrator explains slowly that these 2 versions do not fully align with each other. If the call came seconds after, how was he already with her? If it came after reconvening, then it was not immediate. The difference may only be minutes or even moments, but in an investigation, moments matter. While some would view this as a simple emotional misremembering in a traumatic event, others online considered it evidence of a story that was still being organized. The narrator emphasizes again that trauma can distort memory and that there is currently no public call log released to confirm the precise second the call occurred. No screenshot, no timestamp, just 2 versions floating in the public space. In the absence of concrete data, interpretation takes its place. And the narrator reminds the viewer, when a story lacks clarity,
The human brain instinctively tries to complete the puzzle, even if some pieces are missing or imagined.
The narrator moves into what, at the time, appeared to be a normal and joyful experience, a shared family vacation. This was reportedly the first family trip involving both the Kirk family and the McCoy family together. On the surface, it appeared to show friendship, loyalty, and inner circle trust. Multiple photos and videos captured warmth, laughter, unguarded moments. However, once tragedy struck, the internet viewed this same content through an entirely different lens. The narrator explains how viewers began questioning why Micky and his wife were filming so much of the Kirks, documenting intimate and personal moments rather than letting the family live privately. Again, this is not portrayed as evidence of anything harmful, only as something that appears unusually intense in hindsight. The narrator emphasizes the power of retrospect, how normal actions can take on an unsettling energy when viewed after an irreversible event. The fact that these videos later went viral added another layer of eeriness for some viewers. The narrator reminds the audience that many friendships are built on deep access and trust, and that cameras are always present in the lives of public figures. Still, the timing of these clips resurfacing planted a subtle discomfort in the minds of those searching for meaning.
Next, the narrator describes Charlie Kirk's overseas trip, specifically his appearance in Korea alongside a controversial political religious figure. At the time, it was framed as an international outreach effort. Meetings, speeches, and formal photographs painted the image of a growing global influence. However, after the pastor involved in that trip was later reportedly arrested, people began reanalyzing the significance of Charlie's presence there. The narrator does not imply knowledge of illegal activity, only that association in the public eye can be powerful and sometimes dangerous. The internet quickly connected dots that might not have truly existed, but the connections spread nonetheless. The narrator frames this moment in the story as a turning point, a moment where some believe Charlie may have unknowingly stepped too close to international political tension. Again, there is no official link established between these events, but timing has a way of amplifying suspicion. The narrator explains that when influential figures operate in high-stakes environments, the ripples of association can last long after the meeting ends. After Charlie's death, the narrator notes a sudden and visible shift in how Micky McCoy was presented publicly by Turning Point USA. A rise in praise was observed across official platforms. He was described as brave, composed, visionary, and instrumental. He was placed in speaking roles, invited to events, and subtly positioned closer to Charlie's former spotlight. The narrator emphasizes that this is not uncommon for an organization seeking continuity after tragedy. However, the speed of this elevation caught the attention of online commentators. Some asked if it was simple recognition or strategic replacement. Others viewed it as a necessary step to maintain organizational stability. The narrator reiterates that grief often coexists with practicality in large institutions. Still, the optics created division in perception. Where some saw honor, others saw preparation. In the vacuum of clear communication, interpretation again took control.
The narrator introduces a clip that deeply unsettled a portion of the audience. In it, a woman named Bernadette is heard speaking to Micky, reminding him that he had instructions to call Erika, to move forward, and to stop engaging with conspiracy theories. The phrasing of instructions stood out to many. The narrator explains that Micky's visible discomfort in that moment added fuel to a growing fire online. His lack of a clear verbal response caused viewers to wonder who had given such instructions in the first place and at what time. Of course, instructions can be as simple as guidance from a superior or a crisis response plan. But in the emotionally charged atmosphere following the tragedy, even neutral words began to carry weight. The narrator clarifies that no illegal or malicious actions were proven or stated, only that the tone and delivery sparked imagination, and once imagination is activated, it rarely quiets easily. American Accent now turns the viewer's attention to Erika's interview on Fox. While grieving, she used the phrase, "I want to see what they did to my husband." This single word, "they," instantly became one of the most dissected points of the entire case. The narrator explains that in moments of deep trauma, language does not always flow logically. It can be symbolic, emotional, even subconscious. Still, for many, the use of a plural pronoun opened the door to theories involving multiple actors, unknown groups, or hidden networks. The narrator does not validate or dismiss this, but simply notes that language is powerful, especially when millions are listening. This one word, perhaps accidental, perhaps intentional, added another layer of unease to an already unsettled audience.
According to certain online investigators, 2 specific aircraft tail numbers have appeared repeatedly in locations allegedly associated with Erika over several years. The narrator explains that these individuals compiled maps, timestamps, overlays, and location data to support their claims. They allege more than 70 instances of geographic overlap, including at international destinations. The narrator firmly states that these claims are not confirmed by any official government agency or authority. Aircraft tracking alone does not prove surveillance, targeting, or intent. However, the narrator also acknowledges that patterns attract attention, and attention magnifies suspicion. What unsettled people most was the idea that if anyone was being monitored, why would attention seem focused on Erika and not always Charlie? This question, unanswered and unofficial, became the backbone of a far deeper mystery for many. The narrator now approaches one of the most sensitive and controversial claims circulating online: Erika's reported pregnancy timeline. According to public statements, she was said to be 8 weeks pregnant. However, Charlie had reportedly died 10 weeks before that announcement. The math does not align cleanly, leading to a surge in speculation. The narrator is extremely careful in this section, clarifying that pregnancies can be misdated, miscounted, or misunderstood by both the public and the people experiencing them. Nonetheless, online communities began proposing alternative theories, including unfounded rumors involving unrelated political figures. The narrator stresses that no evidence has been provided for such claims, and that they remain part of unverified internet speculation. Still, the emotional intensity and confusion surrounding this timeline further fed curiosity and fueled theories.
American Accent. The narrator shifts to Candace Owens, who made strong public statements regarding internal conflicts, donor pressure, and ideological divides. She asserted that Charlie had changed over time and implied that powerful interests may have influenced him. Her challenge, spoken publicly, demanded simple answers to complex questions. The narrator reminds the viewer that Candace's statements represent her perspective, not verified fact. However, in an environment starved for clarity, her words resonated powerfully. She gave voice to what others were only whispering. Her stance, bold and unfiltered, forced TPUSA and others back into the spotlight of public scrutiny.
Here, the narrator summarizes the behavioral pattern that caught public attention. Lack of lawsuits, lack of detailed rebuttals, lack of interviews. Instead of loud denial, there was apparent quiet. Micky rose publicly. Erika vanished from view. Praise replaced grief messaging. The absence of legal confrontation against rumor spreaders surprised many. The narrator repeats that silence does not equal guilt, but in the court of public opinion, absence of response becomes its own kind of statement. Humans seek narrative closure, and when none is provided, they build one themselves.
In the final point, the narrator steps back and reframes everything. No determination of guilt, no claim of conspiracy as fact, only the powerful question: was this an act of chaos
or something carefully engineered behind unseen doors. The narrator reminds the viewer that somewhere the full truth exists, whether simple or complex, innocent or dark. And until that truth is revealed, speculation will continue to grow, twist, and multiply. The story does not end with certainty. It ends with awareness and a realization that silence can sometimes echo louder than any confession ever could.